In the meticulously choreographed world of the British royal family, public displays of raw, unfiltered emotion are a rarity. The script is one of dignified smiles, steady handshakes, and a poise that seems almost impervious to the turbulence of human feeling. This makes any deviation from that norm not just newsworthy, but culturally significant. When Prince William, the future king, recently shared a rare emotional moment, whether it was a tear glistening at a memorial, a voice cracking during a speech on mental health, or a gesture of profound empathy during a walkabout, it did more than simply trend on social media. It cracked, for a fleeting instant, the polished carapace of monarchy, offering a glimpse of the man beneath the mantle and sending ripples through the institution's present and future. To understand the weight of such a moment, one must first appreciate the historical context into which William was born. The House of Windsor has long operated on a doctrine of never complain, never explain, a stoicism championed by his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, whose 7-decade reign was the very epitome of restrained duty. Public emotion was, historically, a liability. The monarchy's survival was linked to its appearance of stability and impartiality, a constant in a changing world. This emotional austerity, however, came at a cost. The public's perception of coldness contributed to the crises surrounding Princess Diana, whose open affection and visible vulnerability created a revolutionary contrast. Her untimely death and the seismic public grief that followed forced a reluctant monarchy to bend, to appear at the gates of Buckingham Palace, and to acknowledge the nation's pain. William, a grieving boy walking behind his mother's coffin, became an eternal symbol of that fraught intersection between private tragedy and public spectacle. William's emotional development has thus been a tightrope walk between these two inheritances, the Windsor tradition of stoic duty and the Spencer legacy of compassionate connection. His early adulthood seemed to favor the former. He was often perceived as more reserved, more royal than his younger brother, Harry. However, the contours of his character have been shaped by profound personal losses: the death of his mother, the passing of his grandfather, Prince Philip, and the death of his grandmother, the Queen. Each of these events has been a private sorrow played out on the world stage, requiring him to balance personal grief with public expectation. The specific nature of this rare emotional moment is crucial. Was it grief-forged? A moment of clear sorrow, perhaps while honoring a loved one or a collective tragedy? This connects him directly to the public's own experiences of loss, framing his vulnerability not as a weakness, but as a shared human condition. Empathy-driven, a visible reaction to someone else's suffering during an engagement, a clasped hand held a second too long, a welling up while listening to a survivor's story. This projects a leadership style based on compassion, a Diana-esque quality that resonates deeply. Frustration revealing, a crack in composure hinting at the immense pressure of his role. While less common, this would signal the immense weight he carries, fostering a different kind of sympathy. An unguarded burst of laughter or tears of happiness with his family. This rounds out his humanity, making him relatable not just in sorrow, but in joy. The public and media reaction to such a moment is immediate and multifaceted. In the digital age, a single clip is dissected, memmed, and globalized within minutes. An institution gains what no PR campaign can truly buy: authenticity. In a world increasingly skeptical of traditional hierarchies and hungry for genuine connection, William's vulnerability becomes a powerful asset. It bridges the gap between the distant symbol and the accessible man. However, this reaction is not without its complexities. Some traditionalists may view it as a breach of regal protocol, a softening of the majestic mystique. The analysis hinges on a critical question: is this perceived as a strength of character or a lapse in royal discipline? The modern consensus overwhelmingly leans toward the former. The impact on the monarchy's future is profound. William and Catherine, the Prince and Princess of Wales, have consciously crafted a model of monarchy that is more transparent, more emotionally intelligent, and more engaged with contemporary issues like mental health. William's openness about his own struggles with grief and the pressure of his role
championed through initiatives like Heads Together, has been a strategic and sincere part of this modernization. A rare emotional public display is the ultimate validation of that project. It proves the talking points are not just rhetoric, but lived experience. It demonstrates that the future king can lead not only with his head, but with his heart, aligning the monarchy with 21st century values of emotional literacy and well-being.
This moment also invites an inevitable, if delicate, comparison with his brother, Prince Harry. Harry has built his post-royal identity on a foundation of radical emotional disclosure, arguing that the stiff upper lip ethos is damaging. William's moment, while rarer and perhaps more contained, exists on the same spectrum of challenging royal emotional norms. It subtly suggests that reform and authenticity are possible from within the institution, without the need for a full exit. It may be seen as a vindication of Harry's core message, that showing feeling is necessary, while simultaneously affirming William's chosen path of reforming from a position of duty. Furthermore, the moment humanizes the entire institution. It makes the abstract concept of hereditary succession tangible. The public is not preparing to be ruled by a remote impersonal crown, but by a father, a husband, and a man who has known deep loss and joy. This is critical for the monarchy's long-term relevance, especially as it transitions to a new generation of leadership under King Charles III, whose own style is different. William's empathetic moments offer a preview of a potentially more connected, psychologically aware reign. However, the power of these moments lie precisely in their rarity. If emotional disclosure became commonplace, it would lose its impact and could risk oversharing, potentially politicizing the monarchy or making it tabloid fodder. The alchemy requires balance. William must continue to navigate this path with immense care, offering just enough of his true self to remain credible and connected, while retaining the dignity and mystery essential to the crown's symbolic function. He is crafting a new archetype, the vulnerable heir. This is a sovereign in waiting who understands that strength today is not demonstrated by the suppression of feeling, but by the integration of experience, the capacity for empathy, and the confidence to be seen, occasionally, as simply human. In conclusion, Prince William's rare emotional moment is far more than a fleeting news story. It is a cultural artifact, a data point in the evolving story of the British monarchy. It represents a deliberate, generational shift from impassive fortitude to engaged compassion. It strengthens his personal connection to a public that craves authenticity, provides a compelling vision for a modernized, emotionally intelligent future reign, and honors the complex legacy of both the Windsor duty he embodies and the Spencer humanity he inherited. In that crack in his composure, we see not a fractured prince, but a future king being forged in the full, unvarnished light of the human experience.